Hey everyone, here's another update. You kind of expected it from me now. Yeah, I told you guys, if another update's coming, you'll probably see it. I don't know. But this is an actual update from, thrift stores. This ain't stuff from family. Although it's definitely appreciated from them. And by the way, excuse the background noise. I have my AC on. It's hot as hell over here in Hartford. 78 today, so yeah. Now, the first thing I'm showing is actually not tapes, but actually a selection of magazines. Um, the Disney Adventure magazines. So Disney had a magazine, made for the kids, kind of like their own the Disney Afternoon-esque stuff. In fact, I believe one of them has the Disney Afternoon. Yeah, the first issue. This is this is all the official publication for the Disney Afternoon, as you may see on the front there. They initially came out back in November 12th, 1990, and they continued up until, I believe, 2007, 2008-ish. And I bought this not only for collector's purposes, but also because of the many ads. Because, this was the 90s after all. This was back when the Disney Afternoon was still huge. So, yeah, these are little small magazines. You get interviews, mailbags, and most notably about these is that they would feature like some sort of star, like a little movie star or some sort of popular character, like Rick Moranis, and if you look at another one, Jason Presley, and this one especially, Michael Jordan. Now, I believe not all of them has them, but a lot of them do. But this one, it was the first issue, like I said, it published in 1990. And they have a lot of these like write-ups, some people, later video game stuff. In fact, here's an ad for the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers game for the NES. And this also has comics, Now, this was around the time when Disney Comics, the Disney Comic publication was about to come out. So, this is still really nice to have. But let me see. Not all of them will feature actors on the front. Like this one here. It shows, Jim Henson's Dinosaurs, the sitcom from the 90s that aired on ABC. And I wanted it because of that. Because I've been trying to find the Dinosaur series, the season sets from Disney. But, if anyone wants to see it, it's on Disney+. You can get the seasons on DVD, like I said. Now, this one, the one here with Michael Jordan, I bought this one for a reason. Because this one contains not only an ad for the original Sonic the Hedgehog, but also the first ever Sonic comic ever released here in America. Now, this was way back before 1993, around the time when Archie got the deal for making a comic book based off the character. Of course, now IDW had it. I believe he had it since 2017, 2018. And this was back in like 91, 92-ish. Basically, talks about how Sonic knew Robotnik. Basically, he locked the Chaos Emeralds here so he can erase all the evil from Mobius. He meets Sonic where he was originally a blue hedgehog. And then he uses Sonic Speed in order to, make his machine go. And then he turned blue after an explosion. And then Robotnik decided to give him new shoes, as his older shoes got destroyed. And then he drops some soda on his device here. And after being... Let me see. The explosion scattered Robotnik's... the rocks, his containment rings everywhere, and zapped Doc with over 1,000 volts of pure evil energy, and presto, Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik was born. Now, this is not all of the comic. There's actually a whole other half that was released separately, but most of the publications at the time would feature this comic book. But there's a whole comic book with the entire story with it somewhere. But yeah, I'm really happy to own these. But enough jabber. Let's get on to the tapes. Oh boy, that got me a little tired. Okay, so we're gonna start with the first two from MGM, well, MGM UA, and their well known of their musical collection. The first one, Singing in the Rain, the 40th anniversary edition. Let me turn on my light, see if that's better. There we go. Starring Gene Kelly, Richard O'Connor, and Debbie Reynolds. This was originally released back in 1992. And according to, I believe it says it's somewhat restored. Yeah, this is a digital remaster of the movie. And this was back before it turned to merge with Warner. So this was still owned by MGM. Oh, actually, before I get started, it has a little flap here. This is a really nice release, not gonna lie. Here's the tape itself. Pretty typical MGM sticker label at the time. The print date on mine is March 27th, 1992. Really haven't owned this. I always wanted to see Singing in the Rain. Here's another one I wanted to get. Anchors Away, starring Frank Sinatra, Katherine Grayson, and, of course, Gene Kelly. A new remastered edition. This is part of MGM's musical series, which I believe started in the 80s, like the late 80s, somewhat. Of course, many might know this film for when Gene Kelly was dancing with Jerry Mouse. You know, Tom and Jerry's Jerry Mouse. In fact, on the bottom here it says, Tom and Jerry's cartoon sequence produced by MGM Cartoon Studio. And, well, yeah, I wanted it not just for that, but, you know, it's Anchors Away. One of Gene Kelly's most notable roles, especially with MGM. Here's the tape. And mine's a later print from September 2nd, 1997. In fact, it has a little ad for the MGM UA website, believe it or not. Alright, the next two are from Warner Brothers. The first one here, Beetlejuice, starring Michael Keaton. Of course, is from the same director, Tim Burton, who made Edward Scissorhands, the original Batman, Batman Returns, of course, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the Alice in Wonderland movie, you know, Through the Looking Glass, Frankenweenie. He done a lot of stuff. And, you know, I wanted to get Beetlejuice. I had the DVD years ago, but yeah, it was in rough shape. But still, I'm really happy to own this. And I always found it weird is that Beetlejuice will later get an animated series, and considering this is geared more towards more of adults, and this was back before the PG-13 rating was a thing. It wasn't until like early to mid-90s where that became notable. This is its original print from October 30th, 1988. So I suspect 1989. So the next one here I'm really happy to have. Prince in Purple Rain. The original VHS from 1984. So back in the early 80s, Warner Brothers put out their tapes in black clamshell cases and some sort of uniform design. I used to own one, but that didn't last long, sadly. But this was, I believe, the first time Warner Brothers did clamshell slipcases, and they would continue doing that for quite a while. They didn't go back to making VHS clamshells, not counting reprints, of course, until like the early 90s, when they started the Warner Brothers Family Entertainment brand. And I don't know if it's maybe just my copy, but when you feel this tape, it feels matte. Like if you touched an original Nintendo DSi, you definitely feel like you're touching one. It feels beautiful. And you know, it's Purple Rain. It's one of the most notable things from, of course, Prince. I just recently saw the movie on HBO Max, so I knew I wanted to get the VHS. Either this or the Warner Brothers Hits. Is that what it's called? The Warner Brothers Hits series? Another notable thing about the tape is the label. It's a lot different compared to many other labels from Warner Brothers. Like, compare it to Beetlejuice. Well, even though mine's an original print with all the contents and all, it is a later pressing from 1988, as you may see, October 13th, 1998 to be precise. But I don't care. I'm just happy to own the original VHS of Purple Rain. So, good on me. Good on me. The next couple tapes are from Paramount. First one, Ghost, starring Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, and Whoopi Goldberg. This is its original VHS from 1990. Yes, and the original movie came out in 1990. So I suppose this came out late 1990. And well, yeah, it's a pretty decent film. I'm not gonna lie. I believe it did get mixed reviews back when it came out. I'm probably wrong on that, but you know, it's definitely one of Paramount's most notable releases of the 90s. What's notable about this is that the original releases had a white tape and definitely a different label compared to later prints. Later prints had the typical Paramount label design, you know, with the different colors, you know, all that stuff. But what's different about Ghost is that, like I said, it has a white tape and a different label. It even has an end label. As you may see, it has some writing on there. I'm not sure what it probably was reused. I'm not sure. The print date on mine is, let's see, I believe it's the 18th week in 1991. Mine's probably a later date. But still, it's really nice to have. I wanted to get this version for quite a while. And the next one, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now I own the first 3 movies on VHS. There is a box set that came with the first 3, but I own the first 2 separately, so I might as well get the third one, you know, on its own. This was released back in 1989. This and the original VHS. As it is a Paramount release, it has the typical Paramount label. This was around the late 80s, early 90s, so they were just about to start using this kind of label. But they kind of ran with it up until the 2000s, where everything was all blue. It even has an M label. And the copy printed on mine, I'll repeat that. The print date on mine is the 3rd week of 1990. And the next 2 are Nickelodeon cassettes, and they're more SpongeBob tapes. The first one of the 2 is The Sponge Who Could Fly, and of course, it contains The Sponge Who Could Fly, the lost episode. Believe it or not, there was a whole sweepstakes. In fact, there was a recorded, I have on my Google Drive a whole recorded tape of, I think it was like a 3-hour SpongeBob marathon of season 3 episodes, and it contained some commercials of Patchy the Pirate going around trying to find the lost episode, and there was like a sweepstakes, and it was sponsored by Hostess, you know, the guys that made the Twinkies. And it was really fascinating, but you know, it's nice to have this because, you know, Sponge Could Fly. I always find it weird because, you know, it's a lost episode, and yet it's still somewhat readily available. Paramount Plus, the 3rd season of SpongeBob, you know, right down there. But, you know, it's great to have. Here's the tape. As you see, mine's has a sticker on here. This must be a recycled tape. Let's see. The 24th week of 2004. So I suspect mine's a later print. Yeah. The second tape I have is Sponge-O-Rama. This is another basic compilation, exclusive to VHS. This was around 2003. This was around the time when only the first season was available on DVD. It wasn't until like 2004 and later on where the other seasons came out, so your best bet was to get the DVDs or the VHS tapes of compilations. Well, you know, they're still fun to collect. It's a shame that there's not orange. There was one that was orange, I believe. SpongeBob on Duty. I know there's rare copies where it contains the orange tape. There was this guy named BMX Brandon who has a copy of SpongeBob on Duty that was an orange tape. Subscribe to him. He has a really good collection of Rugrats cassettes. I believe Neil has all of them. And the print date on mine is the 26th week of 2003. And the last of the Paramount tapes is a 2-disc tape set. Mel Gibson, Braveheart. Every man dies, but every man really lives. True that. Originally released in 1995, the movie then came out in 1996 on VHS and Laserdisc. And, as you may see, this is a 2-disc set. Which is strange considering it practically fit the whole movie into a 3-hour tape. But, it's Paramount's choice, not mine. But you know, it's still nice to have either way. I believe it's the first 2 tape set I own. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, here's part 1. And here is part 2. And these were both printed, let me see, the 10th week of 1998, and eBay is going crazy. Thank you, eBay. And the last 3 are from Fox. First one is one I really haven't owned. The original VHS of Die Hard, starring Bruce Willis. Of course, now Bruce Willis is going into retirement, so thank you, Bruce Willis, for giving us this masterpiece. This was back when... let me repeat that. This was back in the CBS Fox days, so as you see, the packaging is a lot more simple. Of course, this wasn't until around the 90s where there was Fox Video. I mean, CBS Fox Video was still around, but not as notable. The tape's in great condition, thankfully. As you mean, here's the label. Pretty bare bones label. I don't think mine has a print date. Nope, it's just how much tape is on here. 135 minutes. And the last 2, let's go in order. The Empire Strikes Back, the VHS from 1995. Now, if you remember, I owned the first Star Wars, A New Hope. And this and the next one, Return of the Jedi, were not only released separately, but was a part of a 3-tape set that was released around that time. Now, there were Star Wars 3-tape sets in the early 90s, but this was the last time that the original Star Wars, A New Hope, The Return of the Jedi, and The Empire Strikes Back were shown in their original glory before, George Lucas went and made the movie look better, added new and enhanced visual and special effects, adding deleted scenes, most notably with Yoda, where he was originally a Muppet, like a puppet, and it was performed by Frank Oz originally. But then, by the time, it was being remade, as technology advanced, they now have a computer-animated Yoda. I mean, I don't mind it, but, it's nice to have a Muppet in there. It's Frank Oz. It's Fozzie Bear, for God's sake. The week near come to mind is the 51st week in 1995. What's also notable about these tapes here is that before the movie would begin, there was a 3-part. How do I say this? All 3 of them go together to make one interview of Leonard Maltin and George Lucas. Or in each tape, they will talk about how they were made, how he felt about working on the projects, and it's Leonard Maltin, one of the most well-respected movie historians. Of course, what's notable about these ones is that they were THX mastered. Of course, Lucasfilm, Fox, and, now Disney owns the THX sound system, so. And the printing on this one is also on the 51st week in 1995. So, I suspect these other 2 tapes here were also part of the set. Also, what's notable on mine is that mine is a little bit... a bit of the color here has been removed. Someone must have dropped some fluid on it or something. But no joke though, if you put these on a shelf, they look beautiful. Of course, by the time I put the Star Wars trilogy right over there, they'll probably look nice. But that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoy the weather. Lord knows I will. Until then, let me get laundry done. Because Lord has it, I need clothes. Till then, stay safe.